Hey everyone, Hanz here, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to make a video about gender conflict and how to overcome it. Well, those who want to at least. Maybe I'm gonna go into a quick explanation first, but before all else, I'm not a certified psychologist, therapist, dietist, anyist out there, scientist, what have you. You take it, you take what I say as you want it, take the good, leave what you do not need, and there be that. Having said so, I'm going to make a little description here of what I see in the sphere where gender conflict is prevalent, which seems to consist predominantly out of unfinished people who have unmatured, who are stuck somewhere along the way. And I'm going to begin with the females in that sphere who have nothing but demands for the guy that they want to be 9 foot tall, earns 100 billion a week, and he has to be very handsome, square chin, needs to emotionally always be there for her at the same time, even though he's supposed to do this like job that probably takes 12 hours a day at least, and so forth and so on. With the males, they need someone who is going to clean his socks, is going to make sure that he's always fed, preferentially looking after the household while he's gone at all times, and make sure that there is enough salt in the soup, etc. etc. Both of these are the deranged versions of otherwise healthy requests, or they should be requests, towards the opposite sex. What I truly see in that, though, is the call out for mom and for dad to a young girl, child, who is the biggest guy in the room. Oh well, has to be dad. Who's the physically strongest? Again, usually dad, right? Who is the one that traditionally brings in all the money for like thousands of years, up until like what, 1 century out of it, if even that for most families, if at all for some families. And sure enough, always has to bring it in there. It's always going to be that. What else? Yeah, handsome, blah blah blah, superficial demands. With the boys, the unfinished males, the unpolished males, whatever you want to call it, the unmature ones. Who is the woman in their life in a healthy situation that cleans their socks, makes sure their bellies are always filled, and if at all, can even puts their hair right and blah blah blah. It's usually going to be mom, right? Traditionally. Do you then all quickly see where this is going? They're basically asking from any potential partner to be their father, to be their mother. Bit unhealthy, right? Magical child thinking, they're stuck in it. And that is what I can garner out of it, born from, well, parenting, in my opinion, is a verb. It's not something you are because you have a child, it's something you do with the child of yours. So, yeah, let's say parental neglect, I guess, or just individuals that gave life to a child and then neglected it, however you want to call it. Parental neglect is usually the source of these behaviors. Mom and dad were never there, and sure enough, as a consequence, now they have to go find someone else to be mom and dad, which is insanity. Some might say, so all of this deranged behavior that follows from there, they're victims. Anyone heard that one recently in society? About being a victim is a good thing these days? No. A victim can at the same time be also a victimizer. You are not completely innocent because you were victimized by someone. Example, let's say one of these unfinished, doesn't matter man or, well, male or female, doesn't matter. They were neglected and they went into a store that has nothing to do with their situation at home, and they started throwing a tantrum at another, at someone who works there. They broke a window, whatever. And then these individuals will quickly say, well, and I'll explain in a bit why. They'll quickly will say that, oh, well, because mom and dad weren't there for them, it's okay for them to break that window because they felt bad that day. And that window happened to be nearby, so they picked up a rock and boom. No, that's not how it works. Now this individual has just lashed out at the world, basically. They will call it vengeance, but it's not vengeance, because vengeance is a just act. No, they lashed out, they threw a tantrum, and they're just trying to run away from their responsibility, as certainly as there should be parents ran away from their responsibilities. A lot of noise in the background. Hope you guys are not hearing it as loud as I am. All this noise pollution in this modern society. Okay, continuing. Where was I? So yeah, they were essentially, many of them choose to be immoral, basically evil. That's what I'm going to call it: anti-life, anti-white, anti-nature, evil. Because their very actions are necrotic, if you will. It's like it's foul. It's an energy that sucks the life out of everything around them. And well, in extreme cases, these types do become killers, right? Murderers and all that type. Having said so, let's see. There are also many people who have grown up in situations like this. Mom and dad weren't there, and they actually decided to face their pain. They worked their way through it. The pain is diminished, some cases even gone. Very good on these people. And they live normal, happy lives, functional with everyone around them. So that tells us that there's always a choice. And whether someone has the intelligence or lacks the intelligence, emotional or what have you, that's here nor there. There's always the choice to do right, even though you were met with injustice. Claiming that because you were hurt, you are now allowed to hurt others, that's just passing the buck. And it is cowardice, because it comes with them running away from their pain. And here the cycle begins, really, because imagine someone like that hurting someone else who had nothing to do with their situation in their house when they were children. And let's say they bust that window. A part of them is going to feel ashamed for busting that window, but they'll have to deny it, because if they don't deny the pain of busting the window, then they're also going to have to face what made them bust the window. Some people do that. Maybe, unfortunately, unfortunately or lucky, it depends on how you want to look at it. Some then realize, like, wait, this was not cool of me. I really should, I should really work on myself, But unfortunately, a lot of them, they dig themselves deeper. They spiral deeper into the bottomless abyss, essentially. And as a consequence, well, they become they become slaves of shame, if you will. And they will do everything in their power not to feel it. They will try to make others feel it. That sounds weird. It isn't rational, but it doesn't have to be. For them, the flight is all there is. And, how do you cope with that? Some do it by armoring, which is not necessarily so harmful to society. Usually that expresses itself in gym, going to the gym or what have you. Others will just be promiscuous like crazy. Just become drunkards, drug addicts, you name it. Anything to flee, anything to stay away from that pain. From facing the consequences of their own actions at this point, having to face that they themselves are victimizers as much as they were victimized. So, one doesn't negate the other in that sense. Their parents should still, would-be parents, should be parents, still should answer to them, but they should also still answer to whomever they hurt. That's why many of them, rather than become moral, sensible people, they go right into the lane of madness. And the rest can be seen in society as is. Typical anti-whites, really, when you think about it. Almost every anti-white is exactly like that. They have some sort of pain from their past, and certain people gave them the avenue of hating whites, and here we are. Because that is also why evil needs to destroy that which is good in the first place, because good creates. That is where all the juices are for the parasites to suck from. And that is also where they can throw the guilt at. But you do with it what you will. Coming back to the point then of gender conflict and how to undo it. Seeking to love yourself is the solution, really. You need to check the archetypes of Carl Jung for that. Look up The Greater Man of Friedrich Nietzsche. Armoring of Wilhelm Reich. What else? The Dragon Mother of Michael Tsarion. His works. These are guys worth pursuing. Willer representation by Schopenhauer is pretty okay. If you want to know how to deal with depression and pain and how to use it as fuel, he gives some interesting insights. Thank you, Western men and non-whites that aligned with Western men for creating all of these incredible works for all of our psychological health. Pretty damn good, right? And credit to everyone involved, of course. They definitely deserve to have a few more flowers at their gravestones. And to bring it, to end the video on a healthy note. Okay, so we now understand then in large part, or at least in some surface part I should actually say, where it all comes from, what the whole deal is, and they are accountable. They should be held accountable for their misdeeds and their degenerate behavior if they have done so. Because you need to reward the good people who have gone through the same and did make the right choices, who did do the right thing, who did work on themselves. And thus, their reward is that you acknowledge it. You do not consider them on the same level as those who clamor to be equals of those who did right. Sounds familiar, that word? I think so. Okay, something else to add to that is then, so what do you then look for once you manage to love yourself and thus have self-respect and have the opportunity to know who you are? It's like, what are your preferences? What are your virtues? Now you can engage with others once you have figured this out. Now you can engage with the other gender. Boy or girl stays the same. Hey, okay, preference, simple preference. Do you like apple juice or do you prefer orange juice? That's a preference. Virtue, are you honorable? Do you stand up against evil? What is evil to you? What is good to you? Instead of I want him to be 9 foot tall, and I want him to have a lot of money. No, now it's about the individual you're talking with, right? It's not about, oh, does she have, a double D and like a butt that doesn't fit on the chair she's sitting on? No, again, now it's about, like, what is important to you? Do you want children? Like the magical question. How many? 5 or 12. Whatever it's gonna be. Do you want to do better in life? Are you happy with uh, are you happy with the 9 to 5 life, or do you want something better? Do you want something else? Can we step off the chessboard that others have put us on? No. It's always worth looking out of that box, that you've been put into, that you've been born into. And now, very quickly, if you then also start doing this, not just in your love life, for heaven's sake, now you can do it with people in your personal sphere, like, people you think friends, are they really your friends? Do you actually align? Or were you all just one big gang of people who are running away from their own pain, and you were like, squeezing one another for the juices? I mean, it sounds so gross, and it really is, really. Just thinking about it. Yeah, maybe I'll, again, you'll clean up your life by getting rid of a lot of necrotic people. They talk about toxic people. Forget that toxic stuff. Necrotic, like dead inside. They killed their own souls, or their souls are withering within themselves. Though physically they may look attractive, but on the inside something is really, something is stinking, man. Something is stinking of death there. And again, maybe it's also worth adding that the crowd of these people who are fleeing from themselves, there is a physical threat there, right? But you just have to have, again, if you have these good people around you to protect you from the crowd, that resolves itself. Some might say that is individualism, and I think that is healthy individualism intertwined with healthy, what is it? Healthy crowd, whatever. I forgot the term, damn it. I should remember it. Collectivism, there we go. Healthy individualism, looking after yourself, loving yourself, respecting yourself, understanding who you are, working in tandem with other people who are exactly that in their own way. That is like some will simply call it individualism, I call that healthy collectivism. And contrary to that, you have like just the unhealthy collectivism, which is just these individual deranged types just all crowding together to lose, trying to avoid their pain, and just vanish into the blob, basically. And then I do not really think there's something really to worry about, except that once you realize that these people are fleeing from their pain, by the way, and by fleeing like seriously in a cowardly fashion, fleeing from it, denying it, if you can present them the promise that hurting you will come with a severe cost for them, like you can say something to them, you do not even physically need to get near them. If you can say to them something that will haunt them for the rest of their lives, not because of you inflicting anything upon them, but because of what they have inflicted on themselves, they're gonna steer miles away from you. And that is a possibility, but you need to know your stuff. I gave you a few names to look at, and there will be far more names once you look there. It's really it's kind of like a domino, except they stand up, if you will. So yeah, there you go. Anything else is, I hope that it gives, let's end with that. The reason why I make this video, I can't say it enough. all of this dysfunction in society, it has a reason. It has many reasons, I suppose, but there are patterns to be found there. And I do not want to oversimplify it. I kind of have to in this video, because this machine only works for so long at a time. But I want people to do right by themselves. And they can, and here is yet another nugget. For real. I hope that a lot of males and females who are unfinished and decide that living a solitary lifestyle is the chat or the alpha or sigma thing to do, or whatever they want to call it, is not true. You know, it's that living a solitary life, that's if you're an introvert, I guess you like that. I definitely like to be by myself when I'm in the woods. But a lot of you are extroverts, and in a certain sense your solitary reaction is like, it has nothing to do with what you really want to be or who you want to be or who you are. It's just like, oh, these people hurt me, so I'm gonna sit in a corner away from them. I get it, man or woman, but you need to figure out if you want to get out of that state, which I think a lot of you still aren't happy about it, because I see many who do that and they still complain about, you know, they're still in that conflict. So, you know, you're not out of it. You're not, you're not out of it yet. The solution is you need to figure out who you are first. Shut off your PC, shut off your phone, and just actually go somewhere quiet. Do, you know, take a ball, you know, anything to play a little or what have you. Have a bit of fun. Anything that gives you some peace and some time to think. And then question, what is it that I like? What is it that is important to me? What are the things that people said to me that I maybe shouldn't listen to? Have I been hurt? Am I responding to all of this hurt? And have I jumped the gun by not doing all my work first before? Well, did I jump? Did I try to jump or get over a bridge that wasn't finished yet? And I'm like at the last plank before I fall into the river. Can I come back, to take a few steps back? Maybe finish that bridge first. In yourself, not with anyone else. If you do that first, your life is going to be a lot better already, just in simple friend interactions. And you're going to be, and if you then figure out, okay, so, you know, you might have some aspects about yourself that you like and don't like. Just face them, accept them, and then decide on which ones you want to act and which ones really should stay on the side or should be used only in particular instances. Whatever, right? Most sane, healthy people can do that perfectly fine. And, or as far as I can tell at least, it's always a helpful thing. It creates mental stability. And then once you've built up all that you think is good about yourself, and you know the more negative traits about you, you accept them as being there, and you might work on them on a later time, you know, refine them to something positive, or I suppose let them rest and work more on your to even better what is already good about you. That's usually where the love starts to build up for yourself. And then once you love yourself, you can say, you know what, I really worked on myself. I really have finished that bridge. I can walk over it now. Hey, look at that, I finished the bridge, and now I actually really feel very proud of myself. And now the self-respect kicks in. And now you can look towards others and say, so is your bridge finished yet? Yeah, let's talk. Let's see if it's pretty as mine. Or whatever, you know. And that is for boys as much as for girls. And for girls as much as for boys. Yeah, it's a bit surface level, maybe a little vague, I do not know. Although I think I quite got in there with the time I've had, so it'll have to do. And I hope that a lot of people get to see this. Maybe through the ridiculous title I put up, I might break through some of the, what is it called again? Yeah, the censorship. The shadow banning, glitch banning, what have you. We'll see. You all have a good one. For those of you who might have caught this because of the ridiculous title, I hope that this has helped you a little, gave you some insight, something to work with, and that you, well, that you start on a better journey for yourself if you haven't already. That's the entire purpose of the video in the first place. And with that said, you all have a good one. I'm going to go on my walk and talk to you soon. Bye bye.